Hello, my name is Nicholas Delgado, and this is the fifth check-in for my video game development class. And today I will go over my quad tree collisions, game objects, and their associated interactions. So this might be a long one. This was definitely the most content out of all the check-ins. So even with such little requirements, so straight into it, if you've already watched check-in 4, then you kind of already get the idea. But our two requirements, two forms of primitive collision objects. I used a circle and a rectangle. Circle for the enemies, hopefully you can see. Circle for the enemies, and then a rectangle for the items. My bad. And then generating a response to a collision event. So right off the bat, generating a response. Boom. Oh wait, I think I missed it. Oops, my bad. Um, walk through the present. Boom. It says it right here at the bottom, collided with a present and collected a present. That's for the inventory and all that. And this is what I really like. I spent a decent amount of time doing this. I did some iframes. Yeah, did some iframes for when you walk into an enemy. So let's walk into the dentist, dude, and just watch the bottom. It should flood the chat. Oh, but you see, it counts down the amount of invincibility you have, so you can only hit him once. So like you heard it, the sound effect play. So every time, if I didn't have the iframes, every time I'd walk into him, it would just keep playing youch youch over and over, and the chat would be flooded with these two messages saying ToeJam collided, ToeJam was attacked, or not that one, but like ToeJam collided with Dentist, Dentist collided with ToeJam. It'd be so many messages. But with the iframes, it turns off ToeJam's collision box, so it only registers as one. So I'll do that again here, and it even says iframes ended, collidable equals true, for testing purposes. But see, and it doesn't. You get the idea. It's a very cool thing. I had a lot of fun doing that. So for the not so fun things, so for quad tree, I decided to go over the top for this game and chose the quad tree. So for those of you that don't know, a quad tree. Oh, let me shrink this. Quad tree is a form of spatial partitioning where the system divides the game world into four branches, and within these four branches, or leaves, what I like to call them, these leaves nodes form off of the game objects within the actual world. So when you first load up the game, the quad tree instantly starts detecting objects, and if it detects an object, it keeps track of that object and any other such instances like it. And in my case, I have a max limit of four objects within one of these, square branches. Um, if it goes over that limit, then it'll start breaking it off into even more smaller sections. It's without a guide, without a visual guide, it's really you. Hopefully you understand. It's just a lot of squares being broken down into smaller squares based off the objects, and it's just a good way to keep track, or for the computer system to keep track of all these items. And I also have here this little clear cleanup function where if if there's no items within these boxes, then they just completely like cut themselves off, they just revert into the original four squares. So like if there's only an object in the bottom right square, only that square would be like cut up and all that, sectioned off, I guess. I don't really know how to say it, while all the other squares remain whole. But yeah, hopefully it makes sense. Here's the code for all of that. You see, I have all the actual squares since there'd be four, so I just named them in terms of direction. Here's inserting game objects, and then retrieving all the game objects within a square. And here for my collision system, As I'm going down, I'll kind of explain hopefully some bits. Yeah, this is all just checking checking and handling collision. So here is where you can actually see I did my collision shape for circle, or these are all the possible ones: circle v circle, rectangle v rectangle, and then circle v rectangle. So most of the time it's probably just gonna be circle v rectangles within all these interactions. Well, that's jumping gun. But you see here, if a circle and a circle hits each other, then here's all the math. You see, I kind of defined them for myself. Object A, object B, radius, which goes for these, A center, B center, radius, yada yada. Same for here. Here's the rectangle stuff. Keep that. And this is my favorite part, the interactions and all that. So if a player interacts with, if this player shape interacts with a whatever shape this is, so a tile, I'm pretty sure tiles are rectangles. Obviously, I don't have, you can see the comments, further implementation, but the ones that I have decked out is for item, and these are like the switch cases. A, if they're switched to B, don't know why. That probably never happened, but you know what I mean. Oh no, if you have Earl, all that. Yeah, I forgot about Earl. And then here's the enemies. So, boom, that's where you see the like ToeJam collided with a and it would say dentist. And then here, oh, this is the item, but yeah, it'll just say ToeJam collected a present, and then it will play the on collection function, which will make it disappear. And in our case, play the sound effect, for the audio stuff. It's pretty much the same for the enemy. I'll show these functions real soon. I'll just put this one last. This is for collision system, by the way. You see the enemy. Um, Real simple. Oh, this B one's not filled out. Pay attention to this one. Yeah, on collision with enemy. It's pretty much the same, these two items, but their general layout. So going on to this on collection function. Is there anything else here? Oh yeah, we're the game object. You see semicolon item, making sure that it is a item. Um, Then we have the classifying its shape type and initializing our width height, making sure it's active, that its hitbox is always active whenever it spawns in. That's the sprites. Yeah, if it's not active, so if its collision turns off, then the item just completely, or it stops doing all this update stuff. So basically, if it's not active, it shuts down update and it shuts down draw, which makes it, disappear. And that's what the on collection is. So if ToeJam walks into it, it shuts off everything, completely turns off all the things within the present, and just disappears. Similar for the dentist, or its parent is the enemy function. And then I didn't even say that. No wait, it's in game object. Oh, that game object is way over here. Oh yeah, never mind. Don't worry about that yet. Just yet. Um, yeah, not really, not much in here. Huh. Oh, because I did it in the game manager. Duh. Yeah. So ToeJam should be just like Mad Scientist. You see, its parent is player instead of enemy. You can see my little graph here, which kind of details it. You see player, enemy, but they all derive from entity, which you'll see real soon. So not much new in ToeJam. It might be. I think this is new. This base dot update. Yeah, because it's updating. It's taking the updates from game object. Yeah, that's pretty much the only new thing. It's making sure that it updates this, like ToeJam's update, and the update within its parent function, player. So it's making sure it takes both of these updates at the same time. You see, that's why also this one has an update because player is a subcategory of entity. with entity being the main one, quote unquote. So I'll just go through it because this is all new and it's a lot of stuff. You see we're setting all these variables. You can see all the references, position. These shouldn't have anything in them. Just, there we go. Yeah, rectangle bounds, if shape. This is like the circle stuff. This is just open brackets, nothing in there. Here's the entity, position, shape type. So entity is its base shape is circle. So all of them should be circle. You see there's not really much into here. I haven't done anything NPC related like Wiseman. That's the later thing. Enemy, there's nothing there. And here's player. You see all my invincibility, my iframe stuff. Boom, all here. And then the updates. You see my system nodes is collidable. Once the timer runs out, it sets ToeJam to be collidable and turns off his invincibility. Game object, it's making sure that it's always active whenever it loads in. Really wanting to establish that. Tile, and kind of just ignore that. But yeah, we're making sure it's collidable. Haven't done anything for it. Game manager. What was it? Yep, setting up collision system. We're initializing our list for all objects, all the stuff relating to the quad tree. So it makes sure all of these objects, especially right here, this is really important for the quad tree to recognize them. I had to overhaul all this pretty much. Like all of them used to look like this AI, but now I had to set them to vectors and new, like see new rectangle for item, and then the rest of them are just new vectors. That's for the collision. Interaction manager, turn that off because that was kind of unrelated. It's like the cross products, and then distance picked up, but we don't need that distance pickup anymore since we have our beautiful, beautiful collision system. And then here's our draw. Same thing as I said before, if the object isn't active, then it would just it would stop getting drawn. And then in game one, I don't think I have anything in here. Should just all be in game manager. Just making one last glance. I think this might have been here already, game manager. But yeah, I think that should be everything. Yeah, and as said before, all the requirements completed. So, yep, that should be it. 13, wow. Hopefully you enjoyed. Have a good one.